You look at ICAC, you look at the saga that is going on. Prime Minister himself is directly involved in the interference of the operational of ICAC.
With ICAC, for many of our Papua New Guineans who probably might not be aware of the role of ICAC or what exactly it is, if you could, I don't know, in layman's terms, tell us exactly what the Independent Commission Against Corruption is. How does that differ from an organization like, say, for instance, the Ombudsman, for that matter? If you could, for our listeners.
I feel that our government has completely destroyed the public service machinery by appointing cronies and political affiliate associates and all these people right around the country, where they go in there, they're only serving the political master. They are not serving our people, and they are completely corrupting these institutions. Now you look at our constitutional officers, they are not functioning. Ombudsman Commission is not been underfunded. They are not able to carry out investigations properly. I think only recently they made a few appointments to try and fill in the number of positions so that it can be fully functional. You look at ICAC, you look at the saga that is going on. Prime Minister himself is directly involved in the interference of the operational of ICAC. I want to say this very clearly. Marape has never had any input in the establishment of the ICAC legislation when we were in government. That work was started under my direction to Kanga Kua, who initially started the work, and it was finished by the Honorable David Stephen, the then member for Esala, when they were Attorney General of our country. When we were in government in 2019, we started to introduce that particular bill, and the first reading was already on motion in Parliament, and then the government changed, so of course, Marape had the second and third reading to just pass it. So he has got no feeling, no attachment to this legislation. All he wants is, he doesn't want to be accountable, he doesn't want to be asked questions, so the weaker ICAC is, the better it is for him. That is how he is now destroying this particular institution. He's not funding them well, and he's now taking sides on the issue about the commissioners. That has got 3 commissioners who are independently can make their own decisions without fear or favor. But instead, of course, Marape and his committee has seen fit to take the side of one commissioner, and the other 2 commissioners have certainly have issues now that are being now debated in public. And this debate is undermining ICAC and its operation. It's undermining ICAC and its operation.
With that being said, with ICAC, for many of our Papua New Guineans who probably might not be aware of the role of ICAC or what exactly it is, if you could, I don't know, in layman's terms, tell us exactly what the Independent Commission Against Corruption is. How does that differ from an organization like, say, for instance, the Ombudsman, for that matter? If you could, for our listeners.
Yeah, sure. Look, for us at the ICAC, corruption is our focus, and it is, I suppose, it's our sole focus is the reality. We look at things like we do investigate complaints around corrupt conduct involving public officials, entities, and even those in the private sector as well too. We also have a really, really important function around the prevention and education around corruption. So they're really 2 key aspects. Look, it's a question that often gets raised between us, about us and the Ombudsman Commission in terms of what is the real difference. I suppose in terms of the ICAC, we have a focus on criminal investigations. That is absolutely key for us. I definitely think we've heard the voice of the people of PNG in our short time here, that they want to see results, and those results are things like people charged with corruption-related offences, people going to jail, and assets restrained and seized. So the proceeds of corruption is absolutely critical. That's quite distinct from what the Ombudsman's Commission do, and I think the Ombudsman's Commission have quite an important role too, as a protector of the Constitution. That's absolutely critical, and that's not necessarily something that we want to stray into as the ICAC, but we definitely value what the Constitution does and how it protects the rights of all Papua New Guineans, and it's basically the piece that underpins this great country and has done since independence 49 years ago.
Now, in regards to ICAC itself, how long has it been during the making of ICAC? Because I know I've been listening about ICAC for a couple of years now, coming through. And under which legislation was it actually set up?
Yeah, look, Kelly, it's the journey of ICAC's quite a long one. If you talk about when you look at the first time that the word an independent commissioner against corruption was talked about in Papua New Guinea, we're talking over 2.5 decades ago. It's been many attempts, I think, to get something like the ICAC up and started. So the first constitutional amendment was made in 2014, and that basically created or enabled the constitution and the country to form the ICAC. What happened then in 2020, what we refer to as the OLICAC, or the Organic Law of the Independent Commission Against Corruption. So that was passed. And that was the piece of legislation that actually enabled the ICAC proper. So it enabled the appointment of the commissioners, so the 3 commissioners to form the ICAC. And it wasn't until the 4th of July last year, when we had the pleasure of all 3 of us being sworn as the inaugural commissioners for the Independent Commission Against Corruption. And that's, I suppose, when the rubber really hit the road, so to speak. Prior to that, there was an interim ICAC, but unfortunately, without the appointment of commissioners, that didn't enable the use of the ICAC's powers. And so that's led us to the current journey where we've gone through a very, very heavy period now of 18 months of the real setup of the organisation, and that takes a lot. We came from basically a staff service of 18 to now we're in the mid-60s in terms of our staffing numbers, looking to grow again to about the early 90s by early next year sometime is where we're sort of aiming. But eventually we do look to grow to 150 plus and beyond because that's the type of resourcing that we actually do need to perform all our functions properly as an independent commission against corruption and maximise our outcomes.
Sorry if I come back to the question on this again, but touching again on the Ombudsman Commission, but for ICAC itself, how does it coordinate its operations in considering or probably in tandem with the Ombudsman Commission and also with the police force?
Yeah. Look, we actually do talk a fair bit. We are definitely trying to get out of this, I think, this really linear process-based model that we came to in Papua New Guinea, where we spent a lot of time writing letters to each other, referring matters, and quite often there's complaints of corrupt conduct that we get that have previously been to the police, they've been to the Ombudsman's Commission, they may have even gone to senior department heads or even to ministers or representatives of government. And that becomes quite challenging because I think all of the agencies can do quite a great job, by themselves in their own little world of what they're supposed to do. But the key to having some really, really strong impact against corruption, it's those collaborative efforts and those collaborative efforts at the same time. So even without things like, memorandums of understanding, things we get talked about all the time and signing agreements with other agencies, our legislation actually enables us to work with other agencies without requiring that. So we share information appropriately. There's a couple of matters which I obviously can't go into the details of, but we're working with the police on quite collaboratively, along with the Ombudsman's Commission. And there's some really key bits of information, intelligence that those other agencies do hold, and we've got to tap into that as the ICAC as well too, because we still are the new players, are the new kids on the block, so to speak, and we still need to, I suppose, lean on their experience, their knowledge, and what they've seen of in the past. So it's definitely a team effort is the way we look at it.
In terms of the public who now hearing about ICAC itself and might think, they might have some knowledge about certain cases they might suspect of, a corrupt deal taking place in this case.
Yes.
Or corruption being practiced in this. How can the public actually report, or is the ICAC currently at the moment taking complaints?
Yes, we are. So we've been taking complaints. In actual fact, we'd amassed quite a few complaints before our initial even start point.
Wow.
So the previous interim chairman had, I think it would have been around the 30s or 40s of complaints we'd already received of matters, which I think shows how much the public's been waiting for an agency like the ICAC to actually to commence and become, the voice of the people, and that's what we really are here for. It's to, represent the people. It's for their benefit and for the benefit of the state, and for no one individual that we do our job. But if they want to make complaints at the moment, they can go to our website, so www.icac.com. icac.gov.pg. It just had a refresh in recent weeks. We had a bit of a soft launch of the new website, but there is an avenue through which people can actually report online corruption. We'll still take phone calls. We'll still take reports of letters coming into our front counter at Central Government Office where we currently are. But we do encourage people that if they can provide us details in writing, that helps. And it just alleviates us having to go back to provide, ask for more details and ask more questions. And it gives us a bit of a start point that we can actually assess the matter for corrupt conduct and progress it from there.
Now, are there mechanisms to actually protect the whistleblowers that do come forward with information?
Yeah, there are. Look, there are definitely protections in our Act in terms of whistleblowers. There's also protections in the Whistleblowers Act. I think it's really critical, though. It's about how we manage people. So the law's one thing, but, my experience of being in law enforcement for over, 25 years, it's about how you manage those people and build trust with them, and they've got to see the outcome of the way in which you manage what they tell them. So there are mechanisms and different things we can explore, including indemnities for people. So if they've got something to tell us but they're worried about, maybe I'll be implicated in this as well, come and talk to us anyway. Let's see what we can actually work out. There are all sorts of options that we can, look at, and it's definitely one of our number one focus is protecting those that speak out, because if we don't do that, those voices are going to dry up. And there's some really, really serious crimes that people are reporting, and it's only right that they may have concerns for their safety, but we will work with them and we will protect them to make sure that not only they can give their information safely, but also anyone else who wants to come forward can do so knowing that the ICAC absolutely values what they've got to tell us.